All right, if everyone will move towards your seat. You guys make sure you have those masks on all the way, cover your nose. And also make sure your phone is turned off. So in our last presentation this morning, Grant Watts will share his thesis entitled Pumping Iron and Saving Lives. Grant will illustrate how weight training should be practiced by everyone as it improves both physical and mental health and even mitigates the problems of aging. Thank you, Grant.
Welcome, faculty, parents, students, and teachers. When I was around 20, running for exercise came into fashion and was promoted as a uniquely healthy exercise. So naturally, I took up the sport, and before too long, I started running greater distances and even competed in a couple of marathon races. Eventually, I came down with chronic fatigue, which is shown to be common among those who practice extreme exercise. And in any case, I was ill with chronic fatigue for many years, 11 to be precise. P.D. Mandem, author of Muscle Up and many other fitness books, discovered weight training, and it changed his life as he became healthier and stronger. According to Connor Heffernan, a professor in kinesiology, the ancient Greeks, Romans, Chinese, Egyptians, and Mesopotamian cultures all used to participate in weightlifting, dating back to 3500 BC. And in medieval times, European men would have weightlifting contests where they would lift rocks or the masts of ships. Over time, mankind has discovered that weight training is very beneficial. It can help people become healthier and stronger. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, they reported that only 9% of Americans regularly weightlift. We all can agree that exercise is important and should be encouraged to all, but as Americans, we spend twice as much on healthcare as other Western nations and yet still have the lowest life expectancy. The U.S. also has the highest rate of chronic diseases and twice the rate of obesity, so we need to be healthier. Weight training has many other names that will be used in this thesis today, such as resistance training, weightlifting, and strength training. Weight training as a form of exercise is very significant because of its many long-term benefits, and weight training is an exercise that should be encouraged to all as it increases the well-being of adults by reducing the risk of getting diseases, making the body stronger, and improving mental health. Initially, weight training is an exercise that increases the well-being of adults by reducing the risk of getting disease. One significant example of disease relief is that it can help increase insulin sensitivity and aid in preventing type 2 diabetes. For instance, Karen A. Wiley, a diabetic nurse consultant with a master's in exercise and science, states that weight training benefits insulin levels by aiding in the glucose and insulin balance through the pancreas and bringing in more glucose to help prevent type 2 diabetes. Furthermore, Jacob Tumlato, PhD in epidemiology and public health, did a study to show how weight training can help reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. They took 522 high-risk overweight subjects who received counseling and encouraged them in reducing weight, total intake of fat, and intake of saturated fat, intake of fiber, and weight training, and the risk of diabetes was reduced by 58%. In addition, the American Diabetes Association did a study to show the relationship of type 2 diabetics and their medications. They stated that after 16 weeks of progressive resistance training, 3 times a week, it helped reduce the dose of prescribed medication in 72% of exercisers compared with the control group. Clearly, gaining lean muscle mass helped lessen their diabetes medication. Weight training can help prevent type 2 diabetes and increase insulin sensitivity, which lessens the severity of this disease, which shows that weight training can help reduce the risk of getting diseases. Another way weight training can help reduce the risk of disease is by improving cardiovascular health and strengthening the circulatory system. Wayne Westcott, PhD, exercise and science, states that several studies have demonstrated reduced resting systolic and or diastolic blood pressure following 2 or more months of resistance training or circuit-style resistance training. One study reported that blood pressure changes in more than 1,600 participants around the age of 21 to 80 who performed 20 minutes of resistance training and 20 minutes of aerobic activity 2 or 3 days a week for 10 weeks. Subjects who trained twice a week significantly reduced resting systolic and diastolic blood pressure readings. This study shows that relatively small amounts of resistance training combined with aerobics can help lower blood pressure, which creates a healthier circulatory system and a healthier heart. In addition, the American College of Sports Medicine states that resistance training helped increase high-density lipoprotein cholesterol by 8 to 21%, decrease low-density lipoprotein cholesterol by 13 to 23%, and reduce triglycerides by 11 to 18% in elderly adults. Weight training had a positive effect on these lipoprotein profiles. Weight training not only improves cardiovascular health and strengthens the circulatory system, but it can also help increase insulin sensitivity for type 2 diabetics, which shows that weight training can help increase the well-being of adults, which is why weight training should be encouraged to all. Furthermore, weight training is an exercise that increases the well-being of adults by making the body stronger. One way it makes the body stronger is by making the bones stronger. Wayne Westcott speaks on how weight training can help increase bone mineral density and how it's important because our bones provide strength and support our musculoskeletal systems. He states that adults who do not perform resistance training may experience 1 to 3% reduction in bone mineral density every year of life. He also revealed that resistance training helped increase bone mineral density between 1 to 3% in premenopausal and postmenopausal women too. Weight training is very beneficial for bone health, and it was very beneficial for these women because during menopause, women do not produce as much estrogen and progesterone as they normally would, but weight training can help bring in more of these hormones. Furthermore, Jennifer Lane at the Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging at Tufts University ran a cross-sectional and a longitudinal study to show how resistance training had a positive effect on bone mineral density in young adults. To add to this, Mangan speaks on how weight training can help those who suffer with osteoporosis. He states that the maintenance of a healthy amount of muscle mass, as well as muscle strength, are crucial in staving off osteoporosis and keeping bones healthy. Weight training can help reduce the risk of osteoporosis and assist in maintaining muscle mass and strength to keep bones healthy. Weight training builds stronger bones and stops the reduction in bone mineral density, which shows that weight training can create a healthier and stronger body. Another way weight training can make the body stronger is by strengthening the body when aging. Zanna Vickberg, a researcher for the Department of Health and Clinical Medicine, ran a 10-week study on a group of patients around the age of 70 that show how resistance training can help those who suffer with pre-sarcopenia, which is when the body is old and begins to lose muscle. They stated that the intervention resulted in significantly greater improvements for the training group in all measures of body composition. For example, lean body mass increased by a mean of 1,147 grams to 282 grams, and total fat mass decreased by a mean of 553 to 225 grams. The participants who performed weight training not only reduced their fat, but it helped them gain more lean muscle mass. To add to this, Mangan speaks on how strength training reinforces good posture by strengthening the muscles and tendons that support the spine. It also does this because good form is required in strength training, and that includes good posture, and by strengthening the bone in the spine, compression fractures become less likely. Furthermore, Westcott speaks on another study that used resistance training that showed a reversal in mitochondrial deterioration that typically occurs with aging. After 6 months of resistance training, the older adult participants experienced gene expression reversal that resulted in the chemical energy needed to power the cell's biochemical reaction, similar to those in moderately active young adults. The favorable changes observed in 179 genes associated with age and exercise led the researchers to conclude that resistance training can reverse aging factors in skeletal muscles. Resistance training can help reverse the process of aging and reduce the process of osteoporosis by bringing back the thickness and strength in the skeletal muscle and increasing bone mineral density, which shows that weight training can help increase the well-being of adults. Finally, weight training is an exercise that increases the well-being of adults by improving mental health. One way it improves mental health is by relieving depression and anxiety. In a medical journal done by Majid Korvash, professor of physical education at Islamic Azad University, they ran a study on 325-year-old males who performed both strength training and endurance training and found that depression levels of subjects has reduced 37% under the fluency of strength and endurance exercises and anxiety by 27%. In addition, Brett Gordon and a group of researchers at the University of Hemrick did a study on 1,900 participants who performed resistance training and found that resistance exercise training significantly reduced depression symptoms among adults regardless of health status, total prescribed volume of resistance exercise training, or significant improvements in strength. Furthermore, in the journal Sports Medicine, a study on those who suffer with high levels of anxiety states that they support resistance exercise training as a potential low-risk alternative therapy for anxiety symptoms. Itue Itsunami at the School of Education at Boston University ran a study on 42 older adults in a 12-week strength training program and found favorable psychological changes in the strength trained subjects included improvement in positive and negative mood, trait anxiety, and perceived confidence for physical capability. Weight training can help those who suffer with anxiety and depression. It does this by releasing endorphins, which are groups of hormones inside the brain and the nervous system, which control the brain's psychological functions, such as anxiety and stress, which shows that weight training can help improve mental health. Another way weight training can help improve mental health is by improving cognitive thinking. Richard Casillas at the Department of Psychobiology ran a study on 62 elderly adults and stated that we included 6 exercises on specific equipment, and our study found significant improvements in cognitive function. Furthermore, Joshua F. Yarrow, PhD, Virginia Medical Department, took 20 healthy, untrained college kids who performed resistance training, and it showed that it helped with brain-deprived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which is a protein that aids in the survival of nerve cells. They stated, ultimately, the change in serum BDNF from rest immediately post-exercise was 98% greater at post-intervention than at the baseline. Our study is the first to demonstrate that resistance exercise induces a robust yet transient elevation of circulating BDNF, and that progressive training augments this response, perhaps demonstrating one mechanism through which exercises influences brain health. The participants who performed weight training not only improved their BDNF, but it also helped them enhance their brain health. Furthermore, Maria A. Pietron Singh, MD in Exercise, Health and Rehabilitation Faculty Research Group, supervised two groups both physically and mentally, who performed weight training for 6 months with an 18-month follow-up, and found that resistance training significantly improved global cognitive function with maintenance of executive and global benefits over 18 months. Resistance training can help improve cognitive function and can help with BDNF, which promotes learning and memory in the brain. This shows that weight training should be encouraged to all, as it can help not only the body but the mind as well. It does this by helping those with depression, anxiety, improving cognitive function, and it releases stress by releasing endorphins, which helps keep the mind sharp as people age. This shows that weight training should be encouraged to all. Now, while weight training is a great way to exercise, many would argue that exercises such as running or swimming is much better for you. Richard P. Solon, Division of Behavioral Medicine at Columbia University, tested the effects of aerobic exercises on autonomic regulation in the heart of healthy young adults. Autonomic regulation includes heartbeat, breathing, blood flow, and more. And they found after 12 weeks in this study that they found a significant increase of aerobic capacity, decrease in heart rate, and an increase in RR interval variability. Running and swimming is a great way to exercise. However, too much of these exercises can lead to pain and injury on the joints. Stephen P. Miser, PhD, Department of Health and Exercise Science at Wake Forest University, observed runners for 2 years and stated that of the 300 runners who entered the study, 199 sustained at least one injury, including 73% of women and 62% of men. Of the injured runners, 111 of the runners sustained injuries more than once. And in swimming, Dr. Edward J. Weldon III, MD, Division of Orthopedic Surgery, stated that it has been reported that 90% of complaints by swimmers pertain to the shoulder. Overuse of swimming can lead to what is known as swimmer's shoulder. And additionally, Rutgers assistant strength and conditioning coach Mike Tufo sees weightlifting as a way to keep athletes in the pool and out of the trainer's office. He stated that the primary reason for strength training athletes is injury prevention. Stronger bodies are less susceptible to injury, especially when weak areas are targeted for a specific sport. Whether running or swimming, weight training is a great addition to any sport. Furthermore, many would argue that weight training itself promotes injury. Lynette J. Mazar, Department of Pediatrics, University of Texas Houston Health Science Center, stated that weight training can cause significant musculoskeletal injuries. It is true that weight training can cause injuries. However, the main cause of injury is due to lifting with the improper form. In the same study, Mazar stated that good coaching and proper weightlifting techniques and other injury prevention methods are likely to minimize the number of musculoskeletal problems caused by weight training. When lifting with a full range of motion, proper form, and the way best fit for the lifter, it can help reduce the risk of getting injured while weight training. In conclusion, weight training should be encouraged as it can help reduce the risk of and suffering disease. It makes the body stronger, and it can help people both emotionally and mentally. Therefore, weight training is an exercise that increases the well-being of adults. Returning to Mangan's story, I never looked back. I kept lifting weights and am still doing so many years later. My chronic fatigue is long gone, and I'm now 60 years old and in the best shape of my life. I feel fantastic and have lots of energy to burn, and have no diabetes, heart disease, or any of that other crap that so many men around my age have. Weight training is a great way for us all to improve our bodies and our minds. Take your health more seriously and weight train to get in shape. You don't have to lift heavy weights or have to compete, but steady and repeated weightlifting is sufficient. Take your time to learn more about weight training, and then head to the gym. I'd like to thank Mr. Long, Dr. Bridges, Ms. Franklin, my family and my friends, and all of you here today. Thank you.
Great job, Grant. All right, so one of the things that I was really surprised to learn in your thesis was the ways that weightlifting is helpful to prevent many of the common issues with aging. So specifically, what was surprising to you in your research as far as benefits that come with weightlifting?
Just like in general, what the benefits were of weightlifting?
Yeah. Were there any that you learned that you didn't know about that were surprising?
Okay. Ms. Franklin is asking me if I learned anything about weightlifting and the benefits from it. I would say one thing I didn't know was probably also with aging and how I didn't know it can bring back the thickness and strength in the skeletal muscles. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I also thought it was pretty nice to know that it can also help reduce the risk of getting diseases such as type 2 diabetes and stuff like that, just how it does that exactly. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. Good job, Grant.
Thank you.
I'm just glad that I could inspire your thesis. It's really good. Just a couple of questions. I mean, you did a good job of presenting the benefits of weight training, of weightlifting. Just in your research, as you think about the overall benefits, is there an age at which you think weight training should begin, and then is there an age when you think it should end?
Okay. Dr. Bridges is asking when do I think the best time for lifting weights and when it should stop lifting weights? That question? Okay. I would say, me personally, the best time to start lifting weights is around the age of 16 or when you're a sophomore in high school. And I would say the best time to probably start is maybe stop is maybe when, maybe in 90s or something like that. But even, I don't know, but something, even then it can still be very beneficial to helping elderly people, so.
Good. And then, if with weight training, if the availability of proper equipment is somewhat limited, is there a type of exercise that you think might be a good replacement for weight training that has similar benefits, or, and if you don't have weights to lift, are there other forms of exercise that might have similar benefits that might replace that? So.
Okay. Dr. Bridges is asking me if you don't have weights, what else should you do to get the same exact benefits? I would just say doing just all body weight workouts such as push-ups, pull-ups, abs, just do body weight squats at home, stuff like that is very beneficial if you don't have weights. So.
Good job, Grant. My question is similar to Dr. Bridges' first question in that you talk a lot about the mental health benefits of weightlifting, and I think in a time when we have a lot of kids with mental health with a crisis, right? I think a lot of people will be interested in that and the potential that it could help and aid those children. In addition to how young, which I guess you said 14 or 16?
16.
Are there any benefits that are different for the teens or than an adult or an elderly person? Because you talked a lot about those benefits. So are there any unique benefits for teens? And at the same time, what would you recommend a teen, because there are some listening, some that need to weightlift, what would you recommend them start doing? Benching, or what in general would you tell them to do?
Just like what they should start doing in general? Okay. Mr. Long is asking me what should someone who just starts working out should do at first. I would say just at first just start by just getting out and moving, whether that's just lifting with 5-pound dumbbells or 10-pound dumbbells, or just even just starting with push-ups and stuff like that. I think that's very beneficial and a good way to start. So.
Right. I'm going to open it up. Questions out there?
Zach.
So considering weightlifting's massive benefits and also, the majority of injuries come from improper form, do you think that a weightlifting class should be required for all high school students?
Zach is asking me if weightlifting classes should be in school so that then we can all learn the proper form. I would say yes, me personally. I think that'd be awesome if we did have classes for that. But because it can just really teach everybody how to lift properly with a full range of motion, and that then as they get older, they'll be able to lift more and heavier and get in even better shape. Cool.
Hi, Grant. So I have two questions. My first question is, so I worked out consistently for 2 months and saw 0 visible change. So that was an immediate turnoff for me. So what would you say about that? And my second question is, why don't I just use steroids?
Oh, Lord. Wow. All right. So first question Cole's asking me is, you didn't see any benefits, and why might that be so? Is that why? It usually takes the body just up to 3 to 6 months just to see just the littlest kind of changes, whether that being strength-wise or just physically. And then the second question was, why don't I just take steroids? There are many negative sides of taking steroids, such as kidney failure, heart failure, high levels of anxiety, depression, excessive sweating, and there's much more. So I would highly recommend that you don't take steroids. But yeah. Oh, Austin.
Hey, great speech.
Thank you.
What are the top 3 weightlifting exercises you can do in the gym, even Planet Fitness, which is
Austin is asking me what are the best 3 exercises you can do at the gym. Me personally, I think some of the best things you can do is benching, squatting, and then probably some deadlifts, or just really, it can just be really anything. But yeah. How much can you bench? Oh wow. I think I can maybe max bench probably 170, 180. Not too much, but I think that's what I can probably bench maybe. So yeah. Oh, Grace.
So you said that athletes should all do weightlifting to help improve their performance. Would you recommend supplementing a day that they would rather be swimming or running or whatever for weightlifting, or just adding it on to their regular training?
Okay, so just switching between running and swimming and weight.
Yeah, if I was gonna run 7 days a week, should I switch one of the days and weightlift instead, or should I just run 7 days a week and then also weightlift one of those days?
Okay, Grace is asking if she should just run 7 days and then switch it up for weightlifting or not. I would say you should definitely change it up a little bit, do a little bit of running some days, a little bit of weightlifting other days, and then if you want to, swimming other days. But yeah, that's what I would say. So.